Yes, good evening. And let's start it once again. Good evening, everybody. Andreas here from Asia Mind Dynamics with another exciting topic today about the origin of miscommunication. Where is miscommunication coming from? What's really happening when you miscommunicate with other people? And you saw the introduction, you saw the promotion, and I do know that some of you will log in. So let me share with you a little bit about miscommunication and why this is a very important topic in today's world. Does it matter if it's personal or professional? All of us had miscommunication in our life when we tried with the best intention to say something to somebody. And somehow along that line, our communication went wrong, something happened, and it went all haywire, and you most likely know the results, of course, what happens when we are miscommunicating with other people. So that is what we are talking about today, and I'm ready for an exciting session today. It is 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening, and as I started last week, every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, I am planning to do this. Let's talk about NLP, Facebook Live sessions where I talk about NLP. Last week we talked about what is NLP. This week we are going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about NLP and miscommunication and the origins of miscommunication. And as usual, of course, feel free to add on your questions, add on your comments. And I have no idea who here is right now. Is somebody online already? Yes, and my darling wife just told me that my hair, that is miscommunication already. My hairstyle is not nice enough, not appropriate enough. And I realize always when I look into this camera that I actually lose hair. There's miscommunication between my body and my hair. Oh no, what's happening there? Let's see if somebody is online. Yes, we have already some people online. Welcome. And I hope this is your session. Feel free to add on your comments and shares. And I have somehow to figure out how I can actually access your comments as well while you're communicating with me. All right. Now let me figure out what is happening when we miscommunicate with other people. What happens when we are in a meeting, in a company, we are doing our best, and then we are miscommunicating. Oh my goodness. First of all, of course, it causes a low moral. Let's say you have a boss. Let me see if I can arrange something like, oh, yo, something happened here right now. I was not supposed to be here. Yay! I see something that I didn't see before. Okay, what happens when we are miscommunicating with others in an organization? People have low moral. Do you want to work with somebody who is constantly belittling you, dropping cynical remarks, or cannot communicate well? What happens? Your moral drops, your confidence gets bust, and then you are one of those people who are saying, thank God it's Friday, yay! And come Sunday evening, the Blue Monday is starting, and we are saying, oh my God, it's Monday again, and I gotta go back and do this strange organization. I don't want to curse you online, of course, but that's miscommunication. First result is your employees or your team is experiencing a low moral. Or your wife or your husband or your children don't have the moral to continue doing what they want to do or they plan to do, because whenever you say something or whenever there's something to say, something is happening. And I gotta Remember my good friend Ron last week, he told me I speak way too fast, which is also miscommunication. So I gotta settle down here a little bit. But I'm getting carried away sometimes when I hear about, when I talk about NLP, when I talk about the mind, when I talk about all this stuff, and Facebook Live is just so exciting. All right, anybody get a comment already? Give me a comment. Share these videos with your friends. Let me know that you are here. Say hello, not hooray. Hello, I am here if you are here. And I hope you do nothing else but, hey, listening to me right now, because it's about communication, okay? So please stay with me, all right? What else happens when we are miscommunication? Interestingly, it's about lack of innovation is happening. Why is that the case? Well, imagine you are in a meeting and you are trying to explain a new project, a new idea, something revolutionary, some changes to your team members. You are in a boardroom and everybody's bored in the boardroom. Those of you who know NLP, of course, know what I'm doing right now, okay? So if you're bored in the boardroom and something is happening and you're explaining something beautifully and suddenly you realize everybody is bored, nobody is quite listening. Or they're hanging on their phone and something outside seems to be more interested in something what's going on inside the boardroom or inside the meeting room. Lack of innovation because nothing is moving forward and the best idea gets smothered away and gone and you don't want to go ahead anymore and give your innovative ideas because you realize there's nobody listening anyway. Terrible, terrible, terrible. What else happens? Of course, those people who cannot communicate, they lose credibility. Imagine that. Of course, everybody knows it. Lack of credibility or losing credibility. If you can't communicate, if you get your message, if you don't get your message out clearly to your staff. Well, that's a challenge, as we are talking about in a while, because we think everybody understands us. But in fact, sometimes nobody understands us, and it is frustrating to us, isn't it? So welcome everybody who is here right now. We've got a couple of people listening here already. Let me know if you're online so I can greet you personally, do a shout out to you. I would love to know who's here. And I appreciate that you are here to talk today about what are you talking about? The origin of miscommunication. We just got started and it seems to be quite an exciting topic because everybody communicates. And you know, if you are one of those people who have a challenge of communicating, we do know people, right? You know people, I do know people who are just able to communicate outstandingly well. They are opening their mouth and they do know how to reach out to people. They do know how to overcome conflict, gain the buy-in of people. That is also the great people who are influencing other people. How do they do that? We are looking at them, don't we? And wonder what's going on. How do they do what they do? And we wish we could do it. And maybe try it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And it is a frustrating experience, isn't it? And you know, in the preparation of this Facebook Live event here, of course I'll do some studies online first, but I'm sharing those numbers with you. And they're really frightening numbers. Let's check on those numbers of what happens if we are miscommunicating. You see, if you are a project manager and you can't communicate, or a company who's going ahead with big projects wanting to do something, 1 out of 3 projects, a little bit by my mouth right now, run away with me right now. 1 out of 3 projects fail because of miscommunication. It's terrible. Because how can we develop or communicate? Not origin, yes, origin, not origin, the origin of communication. My darling wife gave me a instruction. That's communication. It goes on behind the lines here, guys. You can't see it, but if you want to see Najwa, she doesn't want to be heard, okay? It's fun to do this Facebook Live. Okay, 1 out of 3 projects fail because of miscommunication. There's more to go. 48% of employees feel they get confusing directions at the workplace. 48%. It's nearly 1 out of 2 if my mathematics is correct. How terrible can that be? If you get wrong directions, miscommunication happens, projects go haywire, nothing goes on, clients get lost, revenue is gone down, and I have numbers on this one as well. It is terrible, the numbers. And some statistics actually say that we are wasting 40 minutes per day in miscommunication. It's wasted time. It's most likely happening because we're trying to figure out what's been told, what happens overall, and where is it coming from, and what is meant by the communication that we are receiving. It's terrible. And I've got more statistics to read, and it's frightening. There are some people saying we are losing small companies on average. Now, the American numbers, of course, I don't know how it is in Malaysia and Asia Pacific. I believe it's very much the same. That companies, smaller companies of 100 employees, around 100 employees, lose on average $420,000 per year due to miscommunication. Frightening, frightening, frightening. Don't you think these numbers are really frightening? It would be great if you communicate this one as well in my Facebook here. Give me a comment so I do know if you believe it's frightening. Give this Facebook a like so I do know that you actually like what I'm sharing with you here. Not the numbers of the frightening, but it's good to know information. Companies of 100,000 employees, they're losing an average of $62.4 million annually due to miscommunication. That is terrible. Don't you think it's terrible? So as such, the financial loss of companies is huge due to miscommunication. Now, where is all of this coming from? Let me check this out. Let me do an experiment with you guys. And here, you are required to participate. Please, listen carefully what I'm asking you next, because now we are getting into the mind stuff of what really happens when we are communicating. So I want to do a little test with those people who are listening in. And I want to ask you one question, and one question only. And the question will be, listen carefully, and then you please type in the comments what comes to your mind so I can respond directly to you. I want you to think of an apple. I want you to really think of an apple. And then when you think of an apple, do you have a picture? And I know you have a picture in your mind when you think of an apple. Now, what picture comes to your mind? What kind of apple comes to your mind? Please, now, your turn. Type it in. Please type it in, okay? What kind of apple comes to your mind? Just one comment would be good enough. Let me see if something happens here right now. I don't know if anybody types in there right now. So I just simply, I take a sip of water, my own personal communication, and hope that somebody will communicate something. So in the meantime, I cheer you on. Yes, a red apple. Sue got a red apple. Thank you very much. Anybody else got another apple? So let me just click on that. We have got 2 comments. A red apple from Sue. Yes, I do know that. And I could read your mind, I tell you that. Because, hey, and that's why it's got a green apple. I can read your mind as well. Because let me see what happens. When I asked you if you can think of an apple, darling wife, it's a green apple that comes to my mind here right now. Yay! You thought of a green apple. And then Sue, of course, he had a red apple in his mind. I can also read your mind. But more interestingly, you process information. I do know sometimes that people are having maybe a laptop in their mind. The Apple laptop, Apple brand, on which I'm right now communicating to you. Now, what happens here, of course, this is basically the basis of miscommunication. That you do have something in your mind and somebody else had something else in your mind. You are going out trying to communicate with people and you are saying something and you are talking about an apple as an example here, right now only. You talk about an apple and they have a totally different perception. You talk about a red apple, they talk about a green apple. And first time I did an experiment with somebody, they suddenly told me a laptop. And I thought, like, what are you talking about? I asked you about an apple, and you talk about a laptop, until I realized, yay, they made the jump from the fruit apple to the laptop or the iPad. And that's the basis of miscommunication, is when you say something to somebody, do they really understand you? Do they really process the information correctly? If they respond back to you, do you get it correctly in your mind? That is a miscommunication I want to talk to you about in a moment. And here we are getting a little bit into NLP, of course. So let me check my beautiful numbers. We are getting messages wrong. We are getting messages wrong. Why do we get messages wrong? Why? Because couple of situations, you know. First of all, we are all different. The beauty of humans is we are all different. So we got different cultures, different countries, different cultures. So people in cultures in different countries, people in different countries communicate differently. If you check online cross-cultural communication, you get lots of information about how people speak differently, be it in Germany, for example, compared to Japan, compared to the US or Africa or China or any other country. We've got cultural norms. How do we need to communicate to each other? And this already is a barrier, of course. The second one, of course, is religion. Interestingly, if you are a different religion from each other, you might communicate differently as well to each other. Ethnic groups talk differently to each other. Hey, ethnic groups, even states. In Germany, we got many, many different states, from Bavaria to the place where I'm coming from. It's called Hessen. Of course, we speak differently. We misunderstand each other as well. So even though we are supposedly one nation, Germany, Germans, of course, we can miscommunicate because there are cultural norms between the Bavarians and the Hessens. But of course, as well, ethnic groups, you might talk, like, for example, Africans might talk differently compared to us Mazzale, Israelite people, or Germans, of course. That can cause an issue in communication. Gender issues. Male and female communication. You do know what I'm talking about. Male and female can communicate differently. And of course, if you're a parent, hey, or if you're a child with a parent, if you're a child, you have a parent, of course, you might also have miscommunication. Many parents come to us and complain about their kids don't listen, they just have different interests, they don't know how to communicate to them. Kids have a challenge talking to parents because we are coming from different planets altogether. That is already a big, broad frame of how communication can go astray, of how things can happen to us without even knowing why things go wrong. So these groups have different communication styles, of course, of how they're reading. And of course, one more thing, age-related. Okay, I just mentioned it, of course. Many people talk about the Gen Ylers compared to the baby boomers or Gen Xers and so on and so on. So there can miscommunication happening. And the challenge, of course, is that nobody learns how to communicate, how to understand other people around them. We don't learn it in school. There is not quite a lesson about communicate more effectively, communicate more with impact, influencing skills, ABC, one-to-one or whatever, or talking to groups. Only when you go to university, maybe you're studying communication. Or in high school, you might, or secondary school, you might have a class or two about communication. But you really learn how to communicate? It's more by chance, right, that we learn to communicate, but not how to communicate, how to understand other people. So the basis of miscommunication can be body language. We might misunderstand somebody's body language, especially if they come from different countries or cultures. Tonality can go wrong. When I say, for example, you deal with this in different tonalities, it might be perceived differently. You deal with this, or you deal with this, or you deal with this. All of that can cause miscommunication, right? And it comes from somewhere, as I'm heading towards this one point. Your personal style might be such that you want to dominate communication, or you know somebody who wants to control and dominate a communication, and they always push their point forward, overruling, steamrolling anybody else around them. No empathy. Basis of miscommunication. Do you want to talk to these people? Most likely not. Some people have a problem of, well, not a problem, we are judging too quickly. We are seeing somebody where a person is trying to explain something, somebody goes on stage, wants to say something, has maybe a little bit of an anxiety about stage fear, says something, and we immediately evaluating that person as, hey, it's a good speaker, or hey, it's not such a good speaker. So we are judging too quickly, or somebody has a different point of view from us about something, and immediately, boom, we have miscommunication. And sometimes, one radio station playing, what is in it for me? We are not listening to the other party. We are interrupting them before they are finished. Also a basis of miscommunication, because, hey, everybody wants to be listened to. In the moment you get interrupted all the time because somebody doesn't listen to you, whoa, sooner or later you'll learn very quickly, I don't want to talk about this anymore with this person. So, how does it all happen? Of course, let me share the point of view about NLP with you right now. How we are seeing this. So we are all, you, me, everybody else, we have a very powerful brain inside our head. Of course we got a brain in our head. But hey, what happens is we are perceiving information from the outside world. We are watching TV, we are watching a movie, we are talking to somebody, younger, older, different race, we are driving a car, we are doing a Facebook Live, whatever happens. We are perceiving the information coming through the outside world, through our five senses. We are seeing me right now. You're hopefully listening to me what I'm saying. You are getting certain feelings maybe sometimes, happy feelings, good feelings. Think about your loved ones. Maybe you get really feelings of love. We can taste and smell, and we can imagine taste and smell, and we can actually generate it in our mouth. And then we have something in our mind called self-talk. How many of us have that little voice in our head evaluating situations around us all the time? So here, we are getting the information coming on to us. It goes through some stuff in front of us, and I tell you what it is in a moment, okay? And then we are doing something with that information flooding on to us. We are seeing the information in our head. We are projecting it inside of us. We are hearing sounds, we are having feelings in our body, we are having taste and smell, and our self-talk. Now, where is it coming from, And really, so the longer I'm in NLP, what I'm sharing with you next is really important. The longer I'm in NLP, the more I wonder how it's actually possible that two people can understand each other. Because something is happening, We are always communicating, even when we are in the womb of our mom already. But later at the stage when we are born, we are starting to perceive information coming on to us. And we are very quickly having certain experiences at a certain level. We are processing the information. So somebody is saying something to us and their information is processed inside of our head. But really, do we really take everything in that's been told to us? No! We are only able to focus on one little bit of information at any one time. We are focusing only on a minute piece of information at any one time. So whatever they say, anybody else is saying to us, it goes through a certain process. And this process I haven't defined yet. But it goes through a certain process to get into our head. And some of those words I mentioned last week. We are deleting information, we are distorting information, and we are generalizing information that is flooding onto us when somebody talks to us. Deletion simply means that we are selectively paying attention to only a part of what has been said to us, what's been told. We only can listen to a certain part of what's been said to us. Why that is the case? Wait a moment, I'm getting there, okay? And a huge chunk of information, a huge part of information is simply deleted. For example, do you remember how I started this session? Here, right now. What were the first words I say? Most likely lots of stuff gone already. You deleted a lot of information. Do you remember what you were saying about half an hour ago? You deleted that information. Think about, maybe there's sound around you. Are you really aware of all the sound that's coming up to you right now or is around you? You most likely deleted plenty of information that happens around you right now. A very, very important process. And there's a reason why we do this. The second part is we are distorting information. I hope you can bear with me for a moment. We are distorting information. What does it mean? We are distorting information that we make certain interpretations about situation. You go to the movie theater. Do you like the movie? You're sharing it with your friends. Somebody else looks at you and says like, you like that movie? I didn't like that movie at all. You distorted it based on a process inside your head. You had a different interpretation about that movie compared to your friends or your friends or somebody else. You watch a football game. I'm not sure if you like football or watch football. Last week the Premier League started again. Two people watching the same game. Do you really think they've got the same interpretation about the same game, especially if they are supporting different teams? Most likely not. They have different interpretations about the fairness of the game. Was it a goal? Was it not a goal? Was it offside or not? Songs you like, somebody else might not like. We are distorting information. It's our own interpretation about the world around us. So we are deleting information and we are distorting information massively all the time. And then we are generalizing. What does it mean? Well, when I came to Malaysia, a long time back, I had the impression when I went to the cafeteria of the place I worked in the morning time to take my breakfast, I saw Malaysians eating every single day. And I thought like, wow, I saw Malaysians once eating in a week. Monday, they were eating on a Tuesday, same people on a Wednesday, on Thursday and Friday. And I got the interpretation, Malaysians eat all the time. That's a generalization. You are taking a little bit of information and you're projecting it forward, ultimately into the universe. It's always like that. Like somebody says to you when you say to your child, you never study hard enough. You saw your child one time, second time, third time, and then you form the interpretation. Your child is never studying hard enough. Or somebody comes always too late to a meeting and say, you always come too late to a meeting. It's a generalization. You might have deleted that information that this person is normally many times actually punctually in meetings, but you didn't realize that, you didn't remember that. You distorted about the rest of the behavior when he is staying back long to catch up with work. You distorted that information saying like, hey, he comes late, he leaves early because you might leave earlier, or the guy's somewhere else and you can't see him or her when he leaves. And then you form the interpretation, this person is always too late, always late, or always procrastinating, or never studying hard enough. These are key words for generalization. Now that is so far what we've talked about today. So if you like what you're hearing again, and if you're just tuning in, please give me a comment. If you like what you hear, if it's valuable information, I think it's really good information. Share this video on your timeline. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the hearts. Share this video on your timeline so far because, hey, I think it's cool information and I believe more people should listen to it. Now, let me continue for a little while longer. Where this deletion, distortion, and generalizing actually coming from? You see, I mentioned earlier that we are growing up. Of course, everybody grows up, of course, along that line. Now, something is happening. Along that line, as we are growing up, we are installing certain values inside of us, certain things that determine, values are determining what is important to us and what is not important to us. And as we continue to grow up, these values come inside of us, maybe from your parents, maybe from society, something that you accepted at a very unconscious level. And along that line, you're starting to form certain beliefs, clustering around those values that are supportive of your values. And the beliefs are kind of the glue that holds your world together. So as you do this, these values that you do have now in your unconscious mind and the beliefs, they form part of those filters through which we are looking at the world. We are evaluating the world through those filters. And we are formulating, based on those values and beliefs inside of us, we are starting to focus on when people tell us something, they are the evaluator. Which part of the information do we accept? Which part of the information do we delete, distort, and generalize? Ultimately, that forms part of our world. So when somebody says something to us, it goes through our filters, deleting, distorting, and generalizing. But one part of that deletion, distorting, and generalizing process is based on what we do inside of our head, the meaning we are forming about the communication that comes to us, and we are saying, I agree with you or I don't agree with you. And then we are pushing back. And it's not about the other person. It is maybe based on your own inner belief and your own value, because the values, they are the yardstick determining what's right and what's wrong, how you evaluate your actions and how you evaluate somebody else's actions. And then you're judging them. Do you get where I'm going to? And you are judging them and you are criticizing them because they are not in alignment with your values. They are not in alignment with your beliefs. And of course you criticize them. So values and beliefs affect how you think and act. And more importantly, there's a kind of criteria by which you judge other people. So that's how you judge other people. And that ultimately, shockingly, determines your communication style. Think back about the example I gave you earlier. You never study hard enough. Why do you say that? Why do parents say that? Because somewhat deep inside of them, they believe, study hard enough. What is hard? It's a deletion, right? Studying, how do you study? In my mind, in my world, when I grew up, studying meant I have to sit on a table and have the books in front of me to study. So if I see somebody maybe laying on the floor studying, in my mind, it's contradicting my beliefs. And I might say, hey, you don't study hard enough. Because I expect the person, at that point of time it was my son, to sit on the table and study. That's hard, right? Or hard enough. How do you know what's hard enough? It's my own delusion, right? It's my own distortion. Hard enough. Does it mean half an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours? Can you see the deletion around this one single little statement? What is the basis of this belief? It's most likely my own world, the own clue, how I look at the world, how I evaluate people. So this is what's happening, that we are forming those beliefs. So what I want you to do, really, the important part, well, let me see if there's anything. Yep, the important part of that overall situation really is that you, when you are unclear about something, you learned it in NLP, of course. When you learned NLP, you learn how to challenge, ask questions. You never study hard enough. Hard enough compared to whom? How do you know I study hard enough? What do you mean by hard enough? How do I have to study so to you it looks hard enough? Do you see the questioning? That's what you'll learn in NLP. To gently probe when somebody deletes, distort, and generalize. To help them help me to uncover those deletion, distortion, and generalizing. And if this belief is really appropriately. And of course, we have also something called the language and behavior profile words that change minds, which allows you to listen to the words that somebody says. You never study hard enough, and you understand how they think at that point of time. What pieces of information is that person actually focusing on when they say that you never study hard enough, or other comments are saying like, I do know I study hard enough and I get great feedback from my parents. What is it really meaning? What is the information they are focusing on when they say this kind of statement? So NLP has got a lot of tools that help you to understand how somebody communicates and to undo the miscommunication that happens, the origin of miscommunication, challenging the belief, challenging a little bit maybe the value structure that somebody has, carefully of course, challenging their statements, helping them to reflect about it. And if you who don't know NLP here right now, listening to me, hear what I'm saying, ask for feedback, reiterate what the other person says, try to understand what do you mean, how is it specifically, what do you mean at that point of time. Ask tons of questions and get clarity. When you have a meeting with somebody, ask for clarity. Do I really get you? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're expecting? To avoid miscommunication. Because remember, how many times or how heavy is a cost of communication? Earlier on, I just spoke about the cost in companies. But if you miscommunicate to your family members, then you stress all the forward. People, they don't want to talk to him anymore. Marriages break up. Families don't talk to each other. Everybody prefers to communicate via WhatsApp or a handphone or Facebook. Nobody communicates to each other anymore because they do know the moment they open the mouth, miscommunication is happening. The other party just simply doesn't understand me, and then they don't want to communicate anymore. So the personal costs can also be dramatic. So let me share with you something that I explained to you as well. I showed you last week, and I'm inviting those of you who are watching this video to something really, really special. And you're going to tolerate me for a moment. So I want to show you something. This is our new website here, AsiaMindDynamics.com. And if you are looking at this website, you see beautiful stuff happening. Of course, what's going on in the website, public training schedule, and other stuff, registering and so on, joining the NLP community. Now let me go back up again because I want to show you something very specific for you right now. Now I want you to actually check it out here. Here's something called, let me just move that a little bit aside, something called free online training. I want you to go there right now, or not right now, after that video here, of course, Facebook Live. You're clicking that page, and what will happen is it's opening up, and you are getting access. I want you to really get access to this free online course. Let me scroll down what you're seeing. You're going to learn about success. You can join for free. And it's 12 principles of success. Now the course is free, but inside the course, I want you to communicate inside the membership website. I want you to upload a profile picture that makes it more personal. I want you to ask questions. I want you to access our new Facebook page that you can find in the NLP Academy. That is our Facebook page, but you're going to get the link to that Facebook page when you are, let me go back to this one, when you are here in the free course. So I want you to really go there right now. And here are the different stages, and there are more, the different lessons you can actually learn. And a little bit about me, of course, a new photo, a new image about me, because I realize the old photo is a little bit old. People say, look, very, very different. Of course, I aged. So, all right. So please go to this free course, access it, have fun doing it, let me know how it goes, check it out, and as well, otherwise, feel free to distribute this Facebook Live video onto your timeline and invite more friends, ask more questions about miscommunication and the origin of miscommunication. NLP would be great. Otherwise, join me again next Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock, when we are again in Facebook Live on Let's Talk About NLP. Until then, stay healthy, stay focused on your goals, and I see you inside that new website, the membership login page inside the membership website. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.